Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. The quarterfinals are done, and we're moving on to the semifinals. Once again, by the time this episode drops, the first leg has already been played. So hopefully, it kind of goes similar to what the quarterfinals did.
Whoa. That person has really gotten him or herself into quite a predicament.
So we'll go with the first one. Obviously, Toluca ends up beating Monterrey 4-4. If you guys aren't fully aware with Liga MX as far as their playoffs goes, when it is tied on aggregate, the higher seed automatically advances. So there is no away goal rule. Do not fall for what Google says or whatever anyone tries to explain to you how Toluca advanced. There is no away goal rule. It is literally the higher seed advances to the next round in the event of a tied aggregate. So just so you guys know, is it fair? Probably not. But I think if you're Toluca, though, to go down 3-2 in the first leg, which I think it's not a bad result, right? I mean, you're still one goal away from, you're still a goal away, and to go back to your home stadium. I think is still a somewhat of an advantage. Like, it's not a blowout, right? You weren't blown out, like, so there is still some wiggle room to work around it. And then obviously the second leg, it was a 2-1 win for Toluca. I will point out though, they will be without El Niño and they will be without Briseño in the in the first leg of their semifinal opponent, because both of them got red cards in the second leg. So, look, if you're Toluca, it almost looked like, oh no, we're back to the drawing board, right? That's very much how it looked. The first leg, at least, because to be fair, there was only one goal scored by a Toluca player in that first leg. The other goal was an own goal. So I mean, probably not a great first leg, but I believe they responded properly by getting a 2-1 win in the second leg. And I think once again, yeah, Monterrey once again kind of gets screwed over by the aggregate goal rule. Obviously, last playoff, same thing happened to them when they played against Cruz Azul. They tied on aggregate, and unfortunately, they got eliminated because of it. Actually, as a matter of fact, I believe it was a semifinal. There's actually like a little realer TikTok video where I actually went on a rant about that. But am I a fan of this rule? No, and I continue. I'll continue to express my displeasure with this rule. But for Toluca, this is progress. This is progress for them. Yeah, usually for them things don't go as well at all. I mean, literally last playoff they couldn't even score a goal against Club América. So this time around, able to respond to a going down 3-2 in the first leg, to come back and at least tie it on aggregate. Yeah, you want a little bit more of a secure advancement, but nonetheless, I mean, the aggregate goal rule worked in their favor, and I mean they can take that as a stepping stone. Obviously, they need to improve on it, and they're gonna have to improve on it, because I think the competition gets a lot tougher further down this tournament. And Monterrey was no slouch. I mean, they scored a lot of. They're a high goal scoring team. Um, a lot of players on their team have a lot of experience, so this was a good first test for them. Um, not the result that they wanted, but they still move on. So at least that's the positive you can take for Toluca. All right, the next game, Club América beats seventh place Pachuca 2-0 on aggregate. The first leg was a 0-0, which is honestly kind of the way I usually like how these matchups go. I would prefer more often than not for a 0-0, because that just means the second leg it's anybody's game at that point. It's as fair even as possible. Tie in general, a draw in general. Like, I just like when the first leg is tight. I mean, the 3-2 for Toluca was fine with me as well. But it was that second leg when you got to go into America's home, which my bad if I did if I thought Estadio Azteca was still gonna is was playable for Club América. Apparently it's not. They're going through renovations and preparing for the World Cup. But they're still playing in a home, still having a they still have a home stadium. Um, but I think that that's what you want. Go in 0-0 and then go back to your home, have your home crowd, your home field advantage, and I think that's exactly what happened. Once again, this team is so good defensively. They did not give up a single goal in this series with Pachuca, a team that can score goals. Um, and Alejandro Zendejas was the man of the match for that second leg. So I think solid performance by Club America. Once again, that experience it shows. Once again, that defense shows that this team is capable and why they have high ambitions of having a four-peat in this tournament. So we'll see if they keep pushing. I think obviously heavy favorites is probably the word for Club America right now. I just don't think there's anybody that can really compete with them. Maybe there's one team I do think that could fare well against them, and I can't wait to discuss that further down the road. But all right, the next matchup was third place Cruz Azul beating sixth place Club León. They beat them 5-3. So the chip on the shoulder did nothing. Uh, so the first leg was a 3-2 win for Cruz Azul, and the second leg was a 2-1 win for Cruz Azul. So yeah, I mean, it was I think it was a valiant effort. I don't think it was necessarily too bad. It's just Cruz Azul is just better. I think once again, Vicente Sanchez has just done a tremendous job with this Cruz Azul team. This team is into anticipation of hoping to win a CONCACAF Champions Cup as well, and now they slayed a team that um I think had a good storyline to go further in to if they were to go further in this tournament. But I think this goes back to show you why Cruz Azul is third place and why Club León barely had to. It was a decision day performance for them to get them into sixth place. So and some outside factors as well kicking in. So I think for Club León, it's unfortunate, but they'll be back. They'll be back. They have a lot of talent on that roster. I mean, Andres Guardado, I think this is his last season. So, I mean, as far as that goes, that's it for him. But I think this team this team is still going to be a team that we see very frequently in the playoffs. So I expect nonetheless on that part for Club León. But Cruz Azul advancing to the semifinals. And the final quarterfinal, Tigres, fourth place Tigres beats fifth place Necaxa 2-2. The obviously the aggregate goal rule where the higher seed advances automatically comes into play. First leg we saw a strong defensive performance of both teams, a 0-0 draw, and then we got to see some attacking with a 2-2 draw, but unfortunately Necaxa just couldn't get that third goal in, and Tigres moves on off a technicality, but still nonetheless one of the better teams defensively, second best defensive team in this tournament, and they showed why. And I think that yeah, they gave up two goals, but at the same time, they didn't let that third goal in. So I think that they definitely locked in and made sure that they work moving on to the next round. And I think maybe for them, they feel like they're going into their semifinal matchup in a more favorable position. But all in all, the quarterfinals, like I said, I'm happy how these matches went down. I'm happy that the first leg was no team got blown out in the first leg. I think that is a good sign. And then also the other thing was we got to see some drama. We got to see some close calls. Obviously, once again, the controversial aggregate goal rule was put in play twice in this round. But we'll see what the semifinals has in store for us. So we'll move on to the semifinals, and it is first place Toluca taking on fourth place Tigres. Like I said, man, these are both the teams that came out of the aggregate goal rule, which was obviously once again higher seed advances automatically. So, obviously if you're Tigres now, you can't tie on aggregate because obviously then America advances into the final. Um, but Tigres should feel a little confident knowing that Toluca will be without Elino and will be without Breseño in the first leg. So That's gonna bode well for them, at least to give them some sort of advantage. You're losing two guys that are starters. At least were starters in that second leg. And if you're Toluca, I think this is another test for them. This is once again, once they're just trying to prove themselves, proving to Liga MX fans, proving to anyone that watches this league why they're the first place team, why they were the team that was the best goal scoring team. And I mean, they did score goals. They scored plenty of goals in that quarterfinal. Can they lock in defensively? Also, I want to apologize. I didn't realize Volpe was already Thiago Volpe was no longer with the club. But but still, Toluca is still a very good team, very strong team. Can can they respond to Tigres' defense? Because I think that this is a good test, especially if potentially who they see in the final. Um, can they go up against a strong defensive unit, and can they win outright? Can they win without using that away goal, that away aggregate, the away goal, the aggregate rule? Can they do it? We'll see what happens right there. If I have to make a prediction, I feel like I have to always pick defense, man. Like I just at the end of the day, I think defense always prevails, especially in these matches. I just think Toluca once again, just while they are a strong team, and I think are continuing learning from their past mistakes. I just don't know. I think this is where Tigres' experience comes more into play. But if you're Toluca, you have to make a strong statement in that first leg. That's the that not that, and I think that that's going to be the challenge going into Monterrey, going back into Monterrey again. This time playing against the other team from Monterrey, and trying to get something positive out of there, either getting a draw or getting uh minus just be down by one goal or even getting a one goal lead. They need to make a strong statement in this first leg. And obviously I can't tell you right now what that result is because it hasn't been played yet, at least in my eyes. But like I said, once again, by the time this gets dropped, it's already happened. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Tigres. I think Tigres advances to the final. Um I just don't think Toluca. Maybe this is like the thing I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna just keep doubting Toluca and hoping that they make it to the final because as much as I still will love to see them in the final. I just think that this is another hurdle for them and another learning opportunity for this team that's trying to get back on top of Liga MX. Can they do it? I hope so, but I'm gonna side with Tigres right now. I'm just gonna pick defense for right now. I think that's I think that's fair to say. And then the other semifinal, we have Club América, second place Club América taking on third place Cruz Azul, and it is a rivalry. Both teams are from Mexico City, so really juicy game. I can't wait for this one. I'm actually going to be very much excited to watch these two matches uh, break through. Once again, América, best defensive team, and I'm going to say this: I think that this is the best if there was a team that I could feel confident in going up against America, I think it's Cruz Azul. Now, let me be transparent and let me make sure um I know who won the last game because I think that's pretty important. The last meeting between the two. Um Probably should have done the same for uh for for the Toluca game, but that's neither here nor there. We're past that. Um Also, fun fact: Cruz Azul hasn't lost in 18 matches, so that's a interesting thing to point out. So last time they played was actually this past month. No, that's wait no, that's not. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Um, Last time they played was in April, and it was a 0-0 draw. So and also Cruz Azul eliminated America in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So they've had a few matches already against each other. So obviously, I think America would love to return the favor by giving eliminating them in this tournament. But yeah, this is going to be a tight matchup. It's going to go down the wire, and I can't wait for it. Like I said, I think Cruz Azul is probably like everyone's best chance. If you're pulling for America to fail, this is your best chance at getting them eliminated. I think if America makes it to the final, they're going to win the whole thing. So Cruz Azul, I think honestly is the is the final line of defense. I think that this is the team that can actually do it. I believe in Vicente Sanchez. So I'm gonna predict Cruz Azul. I think Cruz Azul beats America. It's not an upset because I think at this point it's the four best teams in Liga MX that are in the semifinals. I think Cruz Azul eliminates America. Yes, I'm also an America hater, but still, I think Cruz Azul again still overcomes again, eliminates America again in a playoff and moves on to the final. So my prediction for the final is going to be Cruz Azul versus Tigres, which we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Toluca can make it to the final. Once again, I'm gonna stand firm on it. I believe if America makes it to the final, they're going to win their fourth. They're 4P. They're gonna do it. I just don't. I think this team. I think America is the best team in Liga MX. Like no offense to Toluca, but I think a team that can defend and score goals. I think this is to me America is the best team in this tournament. And if they get in the final, they're going to be lifting that trophy. And I don't want to see that. So that's why I'm hoping Cruz Azul can do it. I believe in Vicente Sanchez and his boys. And so we'll see how that all transpires.
Who is that guy?